Hello YouTube, this is Bub's Comics and I'm your host Bub, and today we're going to talk about the Bowling Green Con in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It was held at the National Corvette Museum. We just went to it and had a great time, and also I was a vendor there this year. So let's see how I did. All right, so right off the bat, just to explain, I got some mess over here. That's the stuff, that's some of my setup. My good buddy Jambo wasn't able to get off work, so he wasn't able to come with me, so I had to do the whole table kind of on my own as far as having books to sell and everything like that. And also a shout out to Lady Fantastic, who was going to come and help me at the last minute. She got called away on some family business, so their old Bubsy was on his own again. And but my dad stepped up, which is funny because I don't often think of him as available. My parents moved to the area just this year, so I usually don't they're still not at the front of my mind all the time. Although I help them with a lot of stuff and they sometimes help us too, it's just kind of like it's always like a last resource in my mind. I don't know, it's weird. So they moved down here, and so I roped my dad in. I said, "Hey Dad, do me a favor. Look, here's the deal. What are you doing Saturday?" He says, I'm watching baseball. It's playoffs. He's like, "I'm watching baseball all day." I said, "Okay." I said, "Can you watch it on your phone?" He's like, "Yeah, I can watch it on my phone. I can watch it." He's got like 10 devices. I can watch it on whatever I want to watch it. I'm like, "Okay. Would you do me a favor? Come to me to Bowling Green, which is just like an hour down the road, and sit at the table and watch your baseball." Like, that's all you gotta do, because I gotta pee. Like, at some point I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom. I'd like to look around the con a little bit, and I need somebody who can count and maybe make a sale if that occurs, or at least give me a break and let someone say, "Yeah, well, he'll," just tell somebody I'll be right back. So he was more than gracious enough to help me, and he had a good time, as it turned out, and we both had a really good time. So it all worked out. So well, you'll probably catch me and Jambo at the next convention, but until then, I just saw my dad the other day, and he said, "So do you have another one that you're going to, or are you going to try and go to this one or that one?" And so I think he's already kind of excited that I might pull him off the bench again. He had a good time. He spent more at the convention than I did buying stuff. So anyway, let's go ahead and make me small and get to the hall, and then stay tuned to the end for a bit of a riddle. So all right, let's go. All right, so basically, as far as the con went, there were only a couple of comic dealers there. And so with Jambo not being able to make it, I had to make my own wall, because he usually brings the wall. So I knew about a week in advance he wasn't going to make it. And even if Caroline, Lady Fantastic, was able to help me, I wasn't going to be able to get a wall out of that. So I had to build my own. It turned out really well. Everyone, maybe I'll put a picture up of that at some point. I don't know. It's on my Instagram, so you can check that out. But I was pleased with the way it turned out. I got some magazine racks. So anyway, I wasn't really expecting to even break even at this convention after having to spend all that extra. So, and I didn't. It was pretty poorly attended, and I think that there might be a little bit of bad blood here and there in the Bowling Green comic community with the promoter that was putting on this show and the guys who usually put on the show. So it was interesting. Even when the local news covered it, they were very, they kept saying, "Oh, and the annual show is in Bowling Green, Kentucky again at the National Corvette Museum." And I'm thinking, this guy's, it's only his second time here, and I think his first time was a couple of months ago, and he just did like a Sunday show to test the waters and see how the venue would work. And the guy who usually puts on the show, there was another guy who put on a show last year, and he's a well-known comic community in that area. And then before that, there was Vet City Con, which started out as a comics and pop culture convention and then kind of morphed into a horror only show. So then it became just only about horror, and I don't think they even invite comic dealers anymore. So there hasn't really been a proper comic show in Bowling Green in a while. Last year was really the first time we had a good one there. And before that, it had been years. So a little bit, this guy kind of just walked in and did his deal. And if you know the guy, it's kind of normal that he did that. But, you know, the show was put on well, as they usually are. And it had decent attendance, but just not really comic people were showing up. There weren't too many of those. But that's fair because it was only me and one other comic vendor. And this is the second time at one of those shows that has happened. And works out fine for me because people come around, they buy books, and they're usually happy with my prices. So it is what it is. Well, the guy next to me had a couple books. He just had a short box. And so I picked up this Superman 123. And this is that glow-in-the-dark edition. Very cool. I like that a lot. And the glow-in-the-dark still works. It's very strong. It's a very strong glow-in-the-dark effect. So pretty cool. I'm digging that. And then he also had this Amazing Spider-Man 120, which is a worse than rough copy. In fact, it has an additional staple added after manufacturing. So I'll probably pluck that out because I'd rather have it loose and off staples than with an extra crappy staple. It's going to just rip through the bag. So I'll probably take that out. Amazing Spider-Man 120 with this great Hulk and Spidey appearance. It's kind of a high number for me to collect. Usually with Spider-Man, I try to stay under 100. But that's pretty good cover. Couldn't pass that up. Then a dealer that I go to quite often at these shows, the first time I saw him in Bowling Green, I think it was his first time in Bowling Green, I picked up a great, man, I went back a couple of times. There were a couple of books I was going to pick up, but you know how it is. You end up with what you end up with. So I picked up this Marvel Spotlight number 10. This is another one of those runs that I'm not, this is a nice, pretty clean copy. A couple of little marks up here and a mashed corner there, but it's not even that mash. It's just kind of like a tearaway on the edge. So it's not too bad at all. Anyway, I don't know. I would estimate this at probably a 7.5 to an 8, depending if the grader had a good night the night before. So there you go. Marvel Spotlight, Ghost Rider, number 10. And just really digging that. All things I like. Look at that. Yeah. I love it. All right. So we had that at the fair price. Snagged it. Kind of low-key collecting that run. I can't really say for sure that I am, but I will also not really say that I'm less than 3 issues away from the run I want, which is just... I just want to collect all the Ghost Rider appearances, and I already have the Werewolf by Night. So I'm kind of key hunting through that run because it's a big run. And so I'm just kind of picking up the stuff that interests me in that run. And that would be probably 1 through 12 or so is what I'm looking for. And I think I'm just like 3 issues away from having that run complete, or that set complete. And he had this really interesting Golden Age book here. It's Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs. So it's Tarzan comic, not even comics. And you can tell that it is a UK edition. It's from 1951. And a couple of things give it away. One is that the paper is not slick. So when you touch the paper, it's very dry. You know, there's no gloss to it. And then 2, where it says price, it says 6 pence. None the richer. But there you go, 6 pence. And so that kind of gives it away too. And it says dependable publications. I don't know, I can't really read that. That might be what it says. Anyway, there you go. And so this was a reprints of American Tarzan comics. So pretty cool little run that they had there. Also, it's got that odd size where it's like the width of a Golden Age book, but it's not even the height of a modern, like it's really short. So that's kind of indicative of the UK books as well. All right, so on to our little kind of mystery here, a little riddle. So there was some chitter chatter around one of the tables and some talk and a little bit of confusion, and you know, Bubsy snuck in and he was seeing what was going on. Somebody picked up the book, somebody laughed, put the book down, and then walked off. So I picked up the book and I put it in my stack, and it didn't have a price on it, whereas the other ones did. And I said, how much you want for this one? And they were like, oh, a couple bucks, you know, so $5. So I paid $5 for this Conan the Barbarian 15. Check that out. And the mystery was that inside this issue, well, check out that back cover, by the way. Look at that. Holy schmoly, is that good? Look at that. Yeah. Yeah, we like that. This might be one of my favorite treasuries in my collection. It's so funny how that goes. You just never know what it's going to be. So, anyway, I can't show you what's inside. So I'm sorry about that. But basically, YouTube might do the old crackdown. But basically, somebody was using these books. If you've ever had a hobby or known someone that had a hobby of pressing leaves in books, somebody was pressing leaves in these books, and they left some of the leaves in them. And that's just where I'll leave it, and I'll let you guys in the comments below guess what kind of leaves they are. So there you go. that's all I can say about that. But really cool, and I love just the whole thing about it. This is not the first time this has happened to me. I collect vinyl records as well, and every now and then in the gatefold there'll be a little surprise. So that's kind of what this was like. So I thought it was pretty cool, and you know, there it is. So Conan the Barbarian, 1977, number 15, Marvel Treasury Edition number 15, special collector's issue. Isn't that the case now? All right, so that's it. We'll catch you next time in Bub's Comics. Let's see. I will leave you with this. I just can't turn. I love this book. I'll leave you with this. Remember to read a comic and don't apologize for the glare. Bye-bye.